Thank you very much. Mr. Agnew.
Passenger has made a good point, and that there are things that are competences of the member states, and land tenure is one of them, and social policy is another, and this committee can talk all it likes. It doesn't have the authority to change these things in other member states. And it's quite obvious that member states do vary enormously in agriculture and their treatment of women. I was listening to Mark Tarabella, is he still here? No, he's gone, I think, talking about the gender pay gap. And I don't recognise that in my country now at all in agriculture. I employ men and women in my business, and it's simply a rate for the job, irrespective of the gender, and that's the same, I would have said, across the whole of the UK. But there was once a reason for it, and I'm old enough to remember 100 kg sacks, not 50 kg, 100 kg sacks. I'm old enough to remember heavy hay bales that had to be put high up onto a trailer with a pitchfork, and women simply couldn't do it, and were glad that men were there who could do it, and so the men were paid more. So the idea of the gender pay gap originates actually in common sense, and it was fair in those days. I agree, it certainly isn't now. Now, the rapporteur was talking about giving Pillar 2 money specifically to women. And this is verging on discriminatory behaviour. And she might say, well, there's Pillar 2 money given to young farmers, they're different from older farmers, so there's no discrimination. But the difference here is that we were all young once. I was never a woman. And so one has to be a little bit careful that we're not being discriminatory and turning the thing round the other way. And actually, you could look at an extreme example of this, whereby a woman who's inherited 500 hectares then applies for a Pillar 2 grant and gets it by virtue of being a female, whereas a man who's renting 50 hectares wants the same grant, can't get it because he's male. So you have to be so careful once you go down that route. And finally, I heard one of the speakers here describe agriculture as a profession. It isn't a profession, it is a trade. It is a trade where you purchase inputs and you sell outputs, and you must do so with a gap between that is positive and not negative. And I think it's misleading when you talk about agriculture as a profession. It indicates vets, or it indicates accountants, or it indicates consultants. These are professions. Farming isn't. It's a trade, and you cannot teach somebody to be clever in buying and selling. They've either got it or they haven't got it. Thank you.